And opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is Thursday, June 16th, year of our Lord 2016. You listen to a Gen Pop Media production. As always, sponsored in no small part by Elder Care. If your loved one needs home care or help in an assisted living facility, give the ladies at Elder Care a call. They love to help. You can get them at eldercarecares.com or 734-671-6518 and ink on paper printing. So I'm thinking the luster is off the rose, you know, after weeks of guests and, you know, people stopping by.
Yeah, now it's just us staring at each other.
Now it's just the three of us.
Yeah. What's up, Kenny?
What's going on?
You all right?
Yeah.
No Hooper today, so it's going to be maybe a little quiet in here.
Never know.
Yeah,
Never
maybe
know.
not.
Never know. We have. I do have a breaking news announcement to make.
Really?
Yeah, it's officially 6:01, so that makes it officially 6 full days since I have had a cigarette.
6 full 24-hour
6
cycles.
24-hour cycles.
I was say, didn't you have one last week?
That's impressive, dude.
I quit at 6 p.m. on Friday.
Oh,
so you're 1 minute over the...
I am 1 minute over. I'm celebrating my 6-day and 1 minute anniversary.
With a cigarette. No, I was kidding.
Yes, yeah. So we're going to take a break now. And
I'm going to go have a smoke. No, that's good, man. That's
yes, it's a big deal for me, so people can check in progress.
Yeah, yay.
Oh,
yay.
nice. Little
Sound bites
effects.
this week.
I
That's
like it.
awesome.
I like it. So that's a big deal.
No, it is a big deal, dude. That's a hard thing to do. I've done it at least 150 times. And that's kick-ass. I put them down last October, and I only have slipped a couple times. But, we're vaping, so...
Well, right.
It's not like it's nicotine-free time or anything.
No, but it isn't the nicotine so much. You know, I mean, the thing is, stress and everything. I'm like, chain smoking. And I just feel like crap.
Yeah, well, last time I checked, it's really horrible for you. So
yeah, well, and if the
for
nicotine wasn't bad, if the nicotine in inhaling the smoke wasn't bad enough for your lungs, you know, they have all these wonderful chemicals they put in there. Like since they made them fire retardant a few years ago because too many guys fell asleep after 10 or 15 Pabst Blue Ribbons and burned their house down.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is it was less than 20. People less than 20 incidences that caused them to put.
Oh, but that's all it takes.
It's not like it was like 10,000 a year. We got the apartment buildings on fire. So it makes you wonder, like, why did they?
Dude, you're never going to see a gorilla or an alligator up close again after the last week.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah, you can go to the zoo.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't jump in the gorilla cage.
Right.
Yeah, they'll be putting more distance between us and them soon.
So yeah,
we have to depend on the government to protect us from ourselves.
See, at the zoo, like at the Detroit Zoo, they're down in there pretty deep in the center of the reptile exhibit.
Yeah.
So there's no way anything could happen either way at a zoo because they got them either so deep or big ass glass right in front of you.
Yeah. But there is
like Toledo. They got one too.
There is an element of at least in my mind, and maybe I'm just kind of a jerk, but they're gorillas and crocodiles and alligators and tigers and lions and stuff. You'd think you'd be a little more alert.
And bears.
When you're around these things, whether there's a pit or a wall. I mean, I'm on edge, dude. I don't trust that, dude. I'm like, wait a second. Thing is, I'm food right now. Certainly not going to have children. I mean, I'm not knocking the pits. It's horrible. I get it, but I think...
Oh, my heart goes out to the family, especially to the child.
It's scary and all that, but I mean,
I'll go down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Come on!
Yeah.
Just go at it with the gorilla, the silverback. And
I know, I'm scared, but come on, let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I watched that movie. I watched Gorillas in the Mist. I would not. I would run. I wouldn't run fast. I'd get caught. But
yeah, I might try begging. I don't know.
Begging prayer. That would be a good time
just
for
try to barter.
Yeah, that would be a good time for prayer.
I really,
It's like, hey, we're same species.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I mean, we're not.
hey,
but
hey,
Not really.
Hey,
but
I evolved from you. See if they'll
yeah,
buy
wink,
it.
wink.
Yeah, can we get the
Yeah.
gorilla to
Well,
buy
no,
it?
then he'll be resentful because
Oh, right.
he's in a cage, dude, and we're
No, dude, you better treat me right because you're going to be me soon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Speaking of which, we were going to talk about that today, but kind of fell through, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, doesn't mean we can't.
That's true. We could talk about
I mean,
whatever
we
we
can
want.
talk about anything.
It's still
pretty much.
currently, at least we're told, it's still a free country. So
Yes, yes. At least in the state of Cave Radio,
yeah, right.
the official state of Cave Radio Broadcasting.
That's right.
David Hooper will not be with us tonight. He's had a little something going on, and we're just going to send out prayers to his family and hope that everything works out okay.
Yeah, it will. It will.
I'm sure it will.
It is so quiet, though, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, kind of. It's cool, though.
Maybe
yeah,
Ken
especially
can-
when you turn down the lights.
Yeah, maybe you could turn some of that. What was that, Marvin Gaye? Turn some of that Marvin Gaye back on.
Some mood music. Yeah, I was supposed to have a guy from work come by and hang out. And he's
Yeah,
like,
Cat abandoned us too.
and he bailed out. Cat bailed out. It's like, wow, okay, so it's
They
just
don't
us.
like us.
It's just us, man. So
It's okay. We're going to do our best to have the best show yet.
yes.
So there's. Well, I know that we are going to, regardless of what we touch on today, I know that next week we will be back to genes, DNA, and creation versus evolution because we are going to have a pro-evolution guest.
Yeah.
I am told. We have, as far as I know, it's been confirmed. We're going to have a pro-evolution guest, which I really look forward to. Pretty good guy, friend of a friend.
Yeah,
I
should be
look
cool.
forward to hearing his opinion and seeing if one way or the other. Whenever we get into discussions like that, I try to be as open-minded as possible because there's always the possibility I'm wrong. I just don't think so.
Well, yeah, about that, probably not, considering, we're not inventing this. It's just kind of, But it will be interesting. And the fact that, we're looking forward to having the evolution guy on here, then we can probably, the road should probably be paved to where this will absolutely happen.
I look forward. I hope we're going to get, we've been blessed. We've been very lucky to have a bunch of people on with us that have shared our opinions on whatever topic they've been in, and we're not cherry picking. These are just
like that.
These are the people who have offered to come on, or that we've been in a situation where, you should just come on the show and talk about it, and they've been receptive. But I do look forward to that as the show progresses and we do more and more. I look forward to bring on people with opposing viewpoints. I don't want it to turn into a wrestling match. We're not going to turn this into the WWF, but I welcome intelligent discourse on any topic.
Yeah, well,
because I'm far from believing I have all the answers. I just am pretty sure the ones I have. But opinions of mine have changed.
Well, the only thing we can hope for is that if we get somebody like that in the room, they're ardent in their opinions and whatever,
I just
lean on theories that maybe in the course of the show, and maybe here's just one little thing somebody says, and he may hang on to his pride and walk out of here, with nothing changed. But maybe down the road he's like, what that guy said, I'm going to look into that a little more, and then mission accomplished.
Yeah, I find that if you're having a discussion with someone that's of equal intellect, because I got to be honest, how many discussions did it take me before I ended up where I ended up?
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of those discussions with people who had opposing viewpoints and made great points to me during intelligent debate.
Yeah.
And then eventually it all came together, and you're like, oh, yeah, dude told me that 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I was stubborn and prideful and all these things.
Like,
and,
if we ever find out if the world's round or flat, if we ever, beyond a shadow of a doubt, get to know this, is going to be like,
Yeah. I'd be like, well, I kind of knew that. I just didn't really care. Yeah, because that's an interesting subject, but do you really care?
No. I mean, it's only morbid curiosity.
Yeah, right. Same here.
Will it change anything? No.
No.
I mean, I'm still here on the ground, and I still got I still have a bunch of life to live.
Right.
My work here is not done. I have a child to raise. I have a potential to have more children.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of things I have left to do in this life. I I realize it's probably at least half over, if not better, for me. But I still got a lot of things to look forward to, and a lot of things that I hope to accomplish before I leave this rock.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you there. It's sad, though, when you think about it. You go, how'd the guy at work put it? He said, when there's less in front of you than there is behind you. It's kind of a depressing.
The joke I always make with my aunt. I was very angry throughout the early part of my life. World didn't work the way I wanted it to, and I thought that if I just got mad enough, things would change.
Yeah,
and it didn't work out quite that way for me. It turned out that it reminds me of one of my absolute favorite quotes. It's also in my signature on several websites that I participate in the chat boards on, music or politics or whatever. But it's dance with the devil don't change.
Yeah,
the devil changes you.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I always make the joke with my aunt that, if I'm gonna be happy for half my life, I guess I'm cool with the fact that it's the second half.
Well,
get all the misery out of the way.
Why not? Because you're actually now currently in the second half, so it would really be rotten if this was the sad part.
And I'm way better off with where I was now, regardless of the situation, than back then.
It'd be worse to be like, man, I used to be happy. What happened? Yeah, that would kind of suck.
Yeah, imagine being someone who peaked in high school.
Yeah, well, that's
being the quarterback or the cheerleader.
Yeah, Uncle Rico-ish. Yeah. Sad. Yeah, sad.
So what's up with all this? Am I the only one that's noticing a tremendous increase in lunacy and violence?
No, you're not. You may be the only one who notices that it's a new thing. Excuse me, but most people, the world has always been this way. But I was thinking this exact thing. It's almost like you're reading my mind because I was thinking about actually kind of going here today on the show. Is like, I really think that, at least my personal conjecture on this, and I share this opinion a little bit too. The other guy was, we talk about Russ Dizdar all the time. He actually has kind of a similar analysis, if you will, of this. He's
awesome.
He's a lot more well spoken and knowledgeable about it than I am. But I had the same kind of feeling, like the basic conclusion I can come up with is like, there's literally one little, like those padlocks you put on your suitcase when you travel. Like, they're pointless. You could break it with a pair of toenail clippers.
Right.
There's literally one of those on the stable that the Red Horse is chilling in. And that thing's about to ride, dude. And that's my personal take on it. Like, the White Horse has been done, and I'm referring to the Book of Revelation for anyone who doesn't understand what I'm saying. The White Horse has already been riding. And I believe, as the same conclusion came out of Russ Dizdar too, is that the Antichrist is literally alive and operative currently.
Somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Somewhere. We don't know who it is, right? Anyone can. I've heard a lot of theories, people that, usually just point the finger at somebody they dislike and say, he's got to be him, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
I think we don't know, and we won't know, obviously.
I think I've pinned that moniker on at least a dozen people.
Of course. Be like, he could be the Antichrist.
Many in our current government.
Well, I believe that that this person is operative in government or military somewhere.
Well, without a doubt, because where would it be easiest to hide?
Well, this is where this person will come from, right?
Well, that's what they need to control everything.
Yeah, so I think that the White Horse basically represents the two things, right? The rider is actually the Antichrist, and the horse itself symbolizes the system, the Antichrist system that actually allows the Antichrist to rise to power, right? And that's actually going on. And then the restrainer, as the Bible refers to, what is holding back, right? The calamity that is the red horse. It's just, it's bursting at the seams, right? So it's to the point where you can only fit so much sand in a box. Once you start pouring more and more, some falls over the sides and some squeezes
seeps out
out
of the cracks, but sooner or later that's going to burst.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of really, really weird stuff. A lot of what was those? It was actually on YouTube, I think, where it was just in 2016. and this was back in April, so we're only 4 months in.
Okay.
Where there was these really strange cases with these people all over in Europe, here, around, and someone had grabbed these news stories from local news, because you'll never hear this on, like, what we call mainstream. Right? Never.
No.
But it's like these people butt naked running around just creating violent acts, out of nowhere. And they show these, they arrest these people, and it's like these things everywhere. And what is this exactly, And then, of course, the shootings, these horrible things that happen.
Yeah.
And the fingers are always pointed in the wrong direction. The analysis is always incorrect. And the position that our, government and even citizens take on it are so off base that it's almost laughable. It's actually a shame, because
they tried to turn Orlando into something it wasn't. And
well, I've even heard this morning. And this one, I don't know if you heard this yet, and you'll actually really love this. And it shouldn't be surprising to us, but there's actually people in media actually trying to blame this on conservative Christians. Somehow,
perfect.
Perfect,
because
right?
I was waiting for it.
Well, that's what happened, and they're actually now, that this narrative is thrown out there. So
of course it is.
Somehow it's our fault. When, interestingly enough, at least in the Orlando instance, Chick-fil-A, which has been a company that was demonized for their standpoint on gay marriage and all these other issues. And then there's another group, something family, American Family something. Well, anyway, always have been kind of labeled as the ultimate haters to the gay community,
well,
right?
I mean, what's that, Westboro Baptist Church?
Well, those guys aren't even. That's a whole.
And that's, I mean, I'll let you finish your thought, but we can spend some time talking about them, because I am personally tired of people complaining about being stereotyped while stereotyping other people.
Sure, of course. So that's
because there's all this crap on Facebook. Like someone posted this thing, and I promise we'll get back to this. But I think we figured out what we're going to be talking about today. Someone retweets a picture of a tweet from someone on Facebook, and their tweet is, "Can't preach the gay people are going to hell," and then tweet, "Your prayers are going out to those in Orlando. Love is not a light switch."
Well, okay? This is the narrative, though.
And this is the narrative that Christians. It's like I saw something on a close friend. I couldn't believe she was ignorant enough to post this, and I did offline message her to tell her that. But they put the thing I talked about last week about the Obama regime. And,
the regime, I love it.
Well-adjusted kids, no scandals, this and this and that. And hated by all Christians simply for the color of his skin.
Yeah, see, this is straight out of the Bible. Straight out of it.
I know.
Straight out of it.
But it doesn't make it any less irritating just because it's been predicted.
No, but it does, for me anyway, provides some comfort level, because I at least know that this is not something that, it's not unexpected. In other words, they will hate you because of my name, right? So,
absolutely.
And it's, the whole thing, and all the point I was going to make before is that the groups, these organizations, companies, etc., that were always targeted for being the major haters were the ones that were providing a lot of services down there in Orlando, regardless of the nature of the people involved, which is interesting, because going back to your Facebook thing you just read, I don't really read anywhere that gay people go to hell. I don't know where people get this from.
That's what I'm saying.
Where are you getting this from?
But again, you're taking it out of context, and that's what you get labeled with, and then you get the other 95% of sheeple, and because they heard it somewhere, they just start regurgitating what they heard instead of like forming their own unique thoughts.
Well, don't consult the source by any means. Don't actually research the source. I know, right?
That?
But I mean, it's no different than, I guess I'm going to hell then. I mean, I've been divorced more than once. I stole some stuff when I was a kid. I swear a lot. After this, I'll go drink some beers. Yeah. I guess I'm just going to burn. So what am I even talking about, right? I should just switch sides. Because they forget this little thing called forgiveness, that you can kind of attain pretty simply. And the labels, this is going to get worse before it gets better. In fact, it won't get better.
For sure.
It won't get better. This is going to end, is what's going to happen.
Right.
And and what you're seeing and what you this exact thing, right? Like, okay, so Christians, let's analyze this statement because nobody seems to, so we're going to. The statement that was made that Christians dislike the Obamas because of the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. This is interesting to me because hate. Okay, hate. Sorry, I was being nice.
Hate simply for the color of their skin.
Because of the color of skin. Well, now this is interesting because as Christians, if anyone even understands what that means, this doesn't mean perfect person. It doesn't mean someone who doesn't do wrong.
And we're talking about Christianity as in people who follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. Period. We're not talking about Baptists. We're not talking about evangelicals, Protestants, Catholics.
Yeah, I would even.
You're talking about you go to a church as a Christian. We find a church that we belong to with other people who we enjoy fellowship with. But Christianity is not religion.
No, it's not. In fact, I think church is so we can get edification and learn from each other and
it's to expose you to other like-minded individuals.
Yeah, but to be a Christian, the way, at least this is just me, but the way I define it, I don't even really go so far as saying a Christian is someone who follows the teachings of Jesus because it's almost impossible to really get there 100% of the time.
Well, you got to be trying.
Exactly, trying. But I really think, for me, in my mind, a Christian really is just somebody who believes it. You believe it.
Yeah.
And then
what a terrible philosophy. I mean, what a terrible philosophy. I know, it's horrible, right? for love thy neighbor as yourself.
Well, there you go. I was going to say that because
that is the greatest commandment of all.
It doesn't say only if they're the same race as you.
Yep.
It doesn't say only if they're not gay. It doesn't say only if.
Yep.
And this is something that I hammer this constantly because people will make judgments on Christians based on things that are falsehoods. So,
absolutely.
But this is, of course,
or on broad generalizations and stereotypes, which drive me crazy.
Yeah, because Christians don't hate Obama or his family or his regime.
Right, because if you say you're a Christian and you hate Obama, I got news for you. You're not a Christian.
Yeah, you can't hate
Christians
the guy.
Don't hate.
Now, I can say that I disagree with him.
Yep.
But certainly is not because the man is half black or whatever he is. Doesn't even matter what he is.
Whatever he is. Whatever his birth certificate says
doesn't really matter because race is really, in my eyes anyway,
There's one race.
Well, it's a trick, right? It's a big, dirty trick. Racism's fake.
Well, I mean, come on. Because if they don't divide us, if they don't invent racism to divide us,
right.
If we got together, we'd focus all our attention on the government.
Yeah, or evil, right? What is this stuff coming from?
Well,
but of course,
I said the government, so I mean evil. Same thing.
Synonym, right? So yeah, you're going to see more and more of this. You're going to see all the crazy debates about what the FBI is saying, what they could or couldn't have done, what's the real answer to all this stuff, and of course we're clear about this. There's really only one answer to all this stuff, whatever it may be. Whether it's the increase in rape, it's the increase in all this other stuff. It's really only one answer, but of course they'll find.
Well, I agree because I have an answer that goes hand in hand with your answer, but it may be a different answer. You can.
Well, I think that the only answer to all of this stuff is pretty simple. Again, right out of the Bible, is to. Try to rely on God a little more and maybe repent as a nation, not just individually, but as a nation.
Well, individually is a start. If we can get more people to repent individually.
That's a start. It's not the whole picture,
It could become contagious. Could catch on.
And then you repent as a nation. Because otherwise, I don't care what laws they write. Man-made laws are really worthless. In the scope of things, it's not going to change anything, and it certainly is not going to keep that red horse in the barn.
Nope.
That's for sure. But yeah, of course, the narrative that I heard, and I think this is probably an angle, because of course everything on this show has an angle.
Oh, yeah. We have an agenda.
Absolutely. The FBI comes out and says that, and I'm not trying to minimize anything that happened in Orlando. I don't want anyone to think I'm downplaying this. It's horrible. I've lived through situations like this, and I feel for those people. It's horrible. But you have to look at it, the whole thing, and how this really, what's really going on here. The FBI comes out, and they're under scrutiny, and they come out. Was it Comey, the FBI guy, comes out and says something like, "Well, they reviewed their investigations or anything else they could have done, and their honest answer is they don't think so." Meaning that everything that they have, of course, they can spy on us all day long,
right,
without a warrant, which is a huge problem. But with the tools they have in the toolbox, according to the FBI, isn't enough, conveniently. But, of course, we got people locked up in Gitmo, and they can just do whatever. So, whatever. It's contradictory. But, so then the response...
No trial, no
none
sentence,
of this, yeah.
No
I mean, due process, whatever, So then, after I heard the FBI guy say that, and I don't know that this was related, but I'm just assuming it is because, come on, it was on the news. Then the president comes out and basically says the only way to really address this is with like an assault weapons ban.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, people can argue the gun thing all they want, and if my personal opinion and my position on it is if you could somehow make all the guns disappear tomorrow, all of them, I would vote for that in a second.
Absolutely.
But until they're all gone, I'm keeping mine.
Don't blame me.
Done deal. But a baseball bat is also an assault weapon.
Here's also what I would bet. I would be willing to bet you my eternal soul that if you got rid of all the people and left all the guns,
nobody would die.
Nobody would die.
And a gun wouldn't shoot another gun.
No.
That's true.
The best analogy I heard was I was listening to a take away the guns advocate, versus someone who had the opposite opinion, someone more like us. And we're pretty neutral here. We're not like NRA wanting to
certainly not NRA
own bazookas. I think they have their issues. And the guy listened to him, and he went on, raving as these anti-gun people tend to. And then he asked him a simple question. He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "No, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, we both agree it's a tragedy. I understand. I mean, but the one that really gets me is what kind of gun was it that Cain used to slay his brother?"
Right.
And the gun guy was silent. He's like, "Was that an AK? Was it a 9?"
Yeah. No, that was a 20 millimeter German.
Yeah.
No, wait, it was a rock.
Yeah, because people will find if people want to commit murder, they will find a way to commit murder.
Yeah.
The gun is simply the tool.
Well, make no mistake that the efforts.
And I am not a gun owner. I want to point this out. I am not a gun owner.
I
have made the choice to not own guns.
The effort to eliminate guns or ban guns or whatever it is you want to call whatever terminology you want to use, you know what I'm talking about. The effort behind that, the motivation behind that has nothing to do with protecting people. Nothing. Because the same people who are talking about, basically demonizing firearms are the exact same people that use them on a daily basis. And then you go far enough, we actually go to other countries and slaughter people for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So don't even, don't go there with, come on.
Well, and you think, and there are many people on both sides of the gun issue that would agree that this country's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, and the question is why? That's the real question.
Can you imagine how much farther down the slope we'd be if we weren't armed?
Well, we certainly wouldn't be doing this right now.
Because then there's no way.
No.
We don't put any pause in the powers that be's minds.
No, we would not be doing this right now.
Oh, no.
We would be, if we were doing this in that world, it would be in a hole in the ground somewhere, scrambling our signal. I mean, you would get hung for this in that world. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's not really about guns at all. In fact, it's not about guns at all. It's about something much more profound. Just ask, the folks in Cambodia. Just ask the folks in China. Just ask, go through history. I mean, any place they've done this, there's always followed up with a mass slaughter of people, because now what you've done is taken away any chance they have of possibly, and I've always heard this, so there's no way, your 12 gauge isn't going to go up against a tank. No, you're right, it's not. However, it would never get that far because they can't mobilize tanks on U.S. soil. And why is that? Because the law states that they cannot do this. And what is it actually behind the law that keeps these things in place, keeps these things in check?
Right.
I mean, this is, to me anyway, it's common sense. And I've buried more than one person that has been killed with a gun. It doesn't make me, get all the, take all the guns away. That'll solve all the. That's almost, to me, it's immature, actually.
Right.
And so it's just so terrible. And you think about all these poor people, man. I mean, they were really just kind of hanging out, having fun, doing whatever, and
having a couple drinks, blowing off some steam,
and
minding their own business.
I mean, not hurting anybody.
No.
And it doesn't matter. I've even heard people say this, and it's appalling to me. It's like, it was a gay club, so I'm like, well, whoa,
Human beings.
time out. That does not, that's just like saying, well, it was 6 million of them, but they were just Jews, so
right.
Whatever. No, I'm sorry, but this is also, though, will be exploited.
Right.
This will also be exploited. So you almost have every possible, kind of, tidbit in this situation where you have it's a gay nightclub, so you have and I don't even like these terms, right? Like gay community or LGBT. What is this?
Yeah.
I don't even use this, so I don't even know it. But
it's the people who want to separate themselves, but
LGBT. What is this? Lesbian, gay. Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender.
Okay. I know they have a acronym for this, and I'm not trying to make light of it. I just don't know it because I don't use terms like this. I don't say anything community. It's mankind in my mind. So, so you have that factor involved. You have this guy who is of some Middle Eastern descent, American-born apparently. So that's a whole nother dynamic that's interesting. Radicalized, I guess. They say online, whatever.
Do you realize his father?
His father, yes.
Had a talk show.
So you have this, and then it's a mass shooting with a certain kind of firearm that for some reason they really are trying to get rid of. Interesting. And you got all these things in one pile of soup, and anyone who has any kind of evil intention can take this and exploit it for the worst possible reasons.
And they will.
And they are. It's terrible. It's really horrible. But the one other point I don't want to, it's because it's so bad, I don't want to talk about it too much, but the one thing I did find interesting, and I would love to clarify this because it bothers me so much. Anytime you hear about these things, their whole thing, if you've noticed this, is what kind of ties to terrorism does this guy have?
Right.
Does he not have any terrorist ties?
Right.
Is he tied to ISIS?
Who's he affiliated with?
Who's he
Who can we
affiliated
blame?
with? Is he Al Qaeda? Well, he said some things that he's related to them, and then he basically came out in support of ISIS and this and that. But they have no evidence that he had any. He wasn't put up to it directly from overseas, so it's not connected. It's a lone wolf. I want to just go ahead and clarify this right now. There is no such thing as a lone wolf. This is BS. It is absolutely connected, whether they instructed him, another human being instructed him or not. It's all of them, all of it's connected. These people all play for the same team, whether they email each other or not, whether they're on the same chat forum or not. It's connected. Absolutely connected.
Without a doubt.
All of it. So anytime, it could be, a truck driver from Georgia went nuts and, shot his wife and his kids over a custody dispute. That's connected to exactly connected to this guy in Orlando, to the San Bernardino people. Even though they're not
the people in Europe, to
all connected,
because
of it,
because of the experiments at CERN that are messing with the dimensional.
This is all demonic in nature. It's evil, and they can put whatever label they want in front of it, ISIS-inspired or whatever. In the end, they have to actually be honest about this and say, look, there is no such thing as a lone wolf. This is not... No, they're just not putting their finger on the cause. They're not putting their finger on the source of this just because he didn't get direct instructions and was initiated into, them formally doesn't mean that it's not connected.
Right.
Because it is, clearly.
Well, and what kills me, too, I was talking with a friend about this, and what also bothers me about the situation is, okay, so if we remove the good and evil from the situation, at face value, this is a dude who has deep-seated mental issues. Okay?
Yeah.
He is a young man of Arabic descent. His father has gone on record as saying that, gay people are against Islam, so they should die. This is a man who obviously has homosexual tendencies that he's repressing.
Yeah, that was actually another... That came from his ex, right?
No, it came from people who were at the bar. Said he frequented that bar, would drink, try to pick up guys at that bar, and that he's socially awkward, and that he's in the stories I've seen put together that the guy must have a same-sex attraction that he can't come to terms with, and that's sad, and I feel for him. But the answer is not grabbing a gun and going and shooting 100 people.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously even that part of it, his mental illness, is demonic in nature. At least that's my contention.
I understand that, but I'm saying there's no. I mean, they're looking to tout a governmental agenda, no matter what you do. Why, with the liberals who are absolutely about community stuff and welfare and all these other things, why doesn't anybody give a crap about mental health?
Well, I'm not so sure that they're about those things. They say they are, but I'm not so sure that people at top
it's
are.
An opportunity for them to tout mental health reform.
Yeah, and they're also. I mean, I'm full of opinions today, but it's also my opinion that that's the whole point behind the healthcare quote unquote overhaul is to use mental illness as a weapon against us.
And maybe that is part of the agenda because it certainly makes sense.
Well, it is because
with the way we've watched them gut. I mean, in Michigan, these people are living on the streets now because was it Engler? It was Engler, right? Was it Engler who started gutting the system to try and balance the budget, or was it Granholm?
It certainly wasn't Granholm. I don't know if she gutted anything.
Then it had to be Engler.
Probably Engler.
Because it wasn't Snyder. They blame him. He's done a bunch of wonderful things himself, but. Mental health was long gutted before Snyder got in office.
If you look at it, what's been coming down the pipe with this mental health thing, and I mean, I've been around some crazy homicidal people, and I always attribute it to the fact that they're obviously at least partially demonized. I wouldn't say fully possessed because they can actually operate,
right,
they work, they function, but that is definitely there's a satanic element to that. But they can go ahead now and any that the question is always like, okay, so who's the one who makes the distinction that if you go, let's say you go to the doctor for a colonoscopy, right? And you tell how's things going, man? You say, lately I've been pretty stressed out, my boss driving me crazy, blah blah blah. Well, all he has to do is now he has to report this. And if they label you as mentally ill, now you can't own firearms anymore. You can't have them in your house. What does this even have to do with anything? I mean, really? So is this really what they're trying to do? I believe it is. Another angle for this. But, are there issues with mental health? Yeah. But how are they exactly addressing these issues? I mean, medication? I mean, they're creating a whole population of zombies wreaking havoc on society. And is it really a surprise that someone's going to snap when you've totally rewired their brain with things you don't even know what these things do? They just because they don't know. It's like a big experiment. Anyone that I've ever known personally who struggles with, say like, and I am not a doctor, okay? This is just personal experience, and then I draw opinions and conclusions from it from what I see. And I could be totally wrong off base here, but it seems like the going game is like, you start with one thing, it works for a little while, and then, after a while, like, it's not really working, so they add something else to it, mix the two, and that works maybe for a little while, and then you start kind of freaking out again, and then they add like a third medication to it, and before you know it, you're completely...
Yeah, you're on a dozen meds.
And then they decide, well, we'll just stop all of that. And I know people that have actually gone through this, and it's horrible to watch because they can't even work. I mean, sometimes people can't even leave the house. They're so freaked out. And then they just stop it all. And then, we'll try this new thing, but it'll take 8 weeks for it to actually start.
Yeah, right.
And we don't really know how the brain works yet, by the way, but we're just going to go ahead and rewire it because, it helps. I think this is dangerous. So what's the attention on mental health? I mean, what do you do here? What if me having a bad day at work and I voice this to the doctor, labels me as mentally ill, and now I'm sucked into this mess when I'm actually just had a bad day, versus somebody who really has the potential to do something like this attack? I mean, can you even label it? Can you even find this? Can you even say, hey, this guy's... Now you get into like Minority Report stuff.
No, I guess you can't.
So again, it goes right back to what's the answer?
But you don't think that there were... he was violent with his wife. You don't think there were any signs ever that the violence may escalate? I
don't know. Again, I don't know. I just don't know who makes these distinctions is my question. Because it could be... what if, like I said, what if I just, if I just like had a bad day and I'm angry, and let's say I throw my coffee cup on the ground, which there's things I don't do, but what if I did? Am I mentally ill? Now I need to have all my guns taken out of my house? And I need to have social services watch my kids? Did you just put me in jail just preemptively so I don't do something crazy? How do you even address this kind of stuff? I don't know. I don't even have any answers for it, other than the fact that, maybe let God sort this stuff out. I think he would if we asked him. I just have this weird feeling that, he'd work it out if we just kind of asked him to do it. But, that's the danger in this stuff, I think, is that, like just for you, what if you go in for a checkup and how you been, man? I don't know, man. Lately I've just been kind of bummed out. Work's not really going well, and, whatever, say you've been arguing with my wife, or, my kid's kind of stubborn, and you just kind of, venting a little bit. This is human stuff, but this doctor decides that, you got some problems.
You guys got a call.
Who's calling?
Oh, who's calling in?
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Schwartz.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dude?
It's going great, man. You guys got a great show going on today, man.
Oh, hey, cool.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad that he's our one listener.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I'm always hanging in there. You guys were just mentioning, the Omar Mateen shooting, and just how weird it is. All the details start coming out. Just the mere fact of how you shoot 103 people, it seems very, peculiar. Hello?
Yeah, we're here, man.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about the, how people look lightly at the 6 million Jews that were slaughtered. And I just wonder, with us going to war, for whatever reason it is, as being Christians, I wonder what number we're at now.
As far as what? Say that again.
As far as...
Well, I wonder how many souls that's been taken under our government with all the wars. Are we anywhere around 6 million in all these little skirmishes where we've been in?
Well,
I know why we go to war. I'm just saying, as a total number, we've taken a lot of souls out as well.
No, that's a good question, man.
It's a good question, but am I confusing something, or are you saying that are you saying that our government is going to war under the guise of Christianity?
No, not at all. What I'm saying is, we know the Holocaust happened, we understand it, and that's why we never want to repeat it. So we have all these other wars to stop that from happening, but essentially you're taking out all these different regimes,
Well, I don't know,
which are evil, but they are souls, and
they're evil in our opinion.
It's not about making peace.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That's a great point,
because and I know by no means support most of what our military is used for, but you're absolutely right. I mean, if you did the math on it, I don't know if it's equal or greater or
it's got to be better than
less.
6 million. I mean,
but you know what? Either way, man. I mean, death is death, and if they're causing it, if it's in defense, this is a different story. But I think it's rarely been in defense.
No, it's usually the offensive.
Yeah,
we've been on the offensive since the end of the World War II.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we're all awake, so we understand that it's the elitists and the globalists that cause the skirmishes and make money off of funding both sides. We get it. We're arming ISIS or moderate rebels, whatever you want to call them. Because in my opinion, you don't drive on brand new trucks and 50 cows in there, and somebody doesn't give that to you.
Right.
I've noticed that too, man. There's like a Ford pickup truck with a 50 in the back, and I'm like, wait a second.
Where did that come from?
How can you? How'd that get there?
Yeah, when you look at the bills of origin, if they ever find the VIN numbers on them vehicles, I'm sure it's going to show that they were shipped from here or through some type of State Department. It's just quite amazing. But I once again, you guys have a great show, and I do appreciate it. I'm going to hang up and listen to the rest of the show.
Well,
awesome, man.
We appreciate you, man. Listen to Freedom Works, people.
Yeah, call in again and disguise your voice and pretend you're somebody else so it sounds like we have a lot of callers.
That would be awesome.
No problem at all, man. You guys have a great time.
God
Thanks,
bless,
homie.
Tony.
Take care, man.
You.
Bye-bye now.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But it's a great point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's a great point.
It just took me a second with the connection to get exactly what you were saying.
No, he's right. I mean, and really you look at, we always use people do use the Holocaust as an example.
Right.
And this is going to sound really bad, but you're going to get it in a second. When people say, 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, World War II. But keep in mind, it was only 6 million, and that sounds horrible. It's not what I'm getting at. The point is look at how come nobody talks about what happened in China? How come nobody talks about what happened in Russia? Like Hooper just piped in with that, and he's absolutely right. What did Stalin do? What did Mao Zedong do in China?
Yeah.
What happened in Cambodia when, after...
I guess people draw the line in the sand when you're killing your own people or where you're killing someone else.
They were killing their own people. It's no different. So why is
they were gathering up Jews from other countries as they started invading other countries.
That's true. That's true. But, as far as, numbers go, dude, the fact is that these kind of slaughters have gone on. We can go ahead and bring the Catholic Church into the mix. They did away with tens of millions of people. So, 50, I think, is the estimate, actually, from there. So, again, I wasn't trying to make light of it. It's just an example that, as far as, numbers, dude, there has been way worse than that. And it's never talked about. It's just never... No one... You go to China and Mao Zedong's picture is up on buildings and he's still worshipped like some kind of... This dude literally wiped out tens of millions of people. And this happened in Russia as well. It happened, what was the field of terror or something? I'll get it wrong, but this happened in Cambodia. And these guys are on trial right now for it. Yeah. And, these things all happened, curiously enough, right after they banned firearms, which is what everyone keeps talking about.
Right.
But, he's right. This is nothing, it's nothing new. And keep in mind...
The only thing I can throw in, you bring up an excellent point. I've often wondered things like that myself. And the only thing I can think of is that since the media is... that there is a lot of Jewish influence... Not, I'm not saying that this is a conspiracy or anything. It just so happens that there are a lot of people high up in media organizations that happen to be Jewish, as well as American and other things. Yeah. And the only thing I can think of is that because World War II was such a heavily propagandized war.
Well, it could be that we were actually involved with it, and we had pictures.
And Americans were actually involved in it, where we were not involved with Mao Zedong and with Stalin. That stuff was all after the fact, and Pol Pot and all these other things. We didn't have firsthand knowledge of this stuff because it stymies me as well. And I totally get where you're going, and anybody who thinks that we're belittling the fact that 6 million people were murdered.
No.
If one person is murdered,
it's
that's one person too many.
It's no good. But keep in mind, going back to where we kind of opened with, all of this, this horrible things we're talking about. The Red Horse hasn't ridden yet.
Oh, this is nothing.
This is nothing.
And that's why when a lot of people tell me, they think, oh, yeah, rapture's coming tomorrow. Hell, praise Jesus. Rapture's coming. No, it's like, no, this ain't nothing.
Yeah.
What, you think you're persecuted? You think we're suffering? This is nothing.
Well,
just read the Bible.
Yeah,
just go back and look at what was done to the disciples, the apostles, and to all of the people that followed them, and many of, this is nothing what we're going through.
Yeah.
This is heartburn.
Right.
In comparison to what they're going for.
We just got a message from Hooper saying, explain what the Red Horse is.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 4 minutes to explain what the Red Horse is, and then we're going to pay some bills. How about that?
That's fair. I actually probably need to brush up on this a bit. But the Red Horse is the book of Revelation, where referring to it's people killing each other. It is the restrainer, which keeps the stuff at bay, is removed. Believe that's referring to the Holy Spirit. And power is given to the Dark One, whatever you want to. I forget the words in the Bible. I'll look at it on our break and clear it up. But basically, the description of the Red Horse is literally worldwide slaughter. People killing each other, violence unabated.
And the Red Horse is the second horse, right?
Yes, and that is, and then the other two after that are a result of this slaughter. Because imagine trying to give kind of an example of something that you can kind of, not tangible, but you can kind of comprehend, right? Is you had this shooter in Orlando, and Hooper's made this point a couple times too, is you would have like 100,000 of those guys all going off at the same exact time. You'd walk outside and you see your neighbor go over to the other neighbor and just stab him in the neck, and then some other guy's eating a cat, and it would just be completely
insane,
nuts.
Yeah, like the craziest horror, craziest bad Rob Zombie movie ever.
It times 1,000,000, and that's what that is. And that's why stuff we're talking about is so important, because again, we always harp on this. There's really only one way out of that.
Right. And the saddest thing is that all of this is within our control. There's nothing, everybody says that things are out of your control. It is within our control. And here's why I believe this. And we've had this discussion before. Here's why it's within our control. Because we have the ability, by simply following God's law, to stave off revelation. And what do we have to do to stave off revelation? Repent. Admit that you're a sinner and repent. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
It's so simple, and we're going to screw it up.
Well, being that Revelation was a vision of what's to come in the future, it's some people would argue that there is no way to stave this off. But it's actually going to happen.
There is no day or time.
That's right.
It can be delayed.
No, that's valid.
It can be delayed.
Yeah, that's valid.
And he is a merciful God, so you can't tell me if you can't find a way to lead a worldwide revolution.
Yeah, obviously patient.
Very patient.
I mean, all the stuff we just pointed out, obviously extremely patient. And, that's, again, we said this before, and I had this conversation, I think it was Alex at church. He said, it's really so very simple. And then his response was, well, that's why it's complicated.
Absolutely. Because as humans, we want to make everything as complicated
That's why it's
as
complicated, because
possible.
it's so simple. You can't possibly
If you want to
be...
give me a Renoir for a penny,
Yeah, right.
there's
right.
no way. I want to change the deal. We're going to pay some bills, let Kenny do his thing. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. We've taken a quick break to pay some bills and do a little bit of research.
Re-up on nicotine levels.
Yeah, get our nic levels up.
So, in the spirit of, what we were talking about, we should probably go ahead and read at least the White Horse and the Red Horse. It's short, but to kind of give a little background what the heck we're talking about. So, this is Revelation 6, and it's the seals. And 6:1. I watched as the Lamb opened the first. Now, the Lamb, let's clarify this for people. The Lamb is Jesus Christ. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, "Come." I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. So that was where I was getting at. That is representative, at least in my opinion, of the Antichrist and the Antichrist system that allows the Antichrist to rise to power. That was my interjection. That's not in the Bible.
Right. That is our interpretation.
Then Revelation 6:3 continues. When the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. This is the red horse. That's pretty, that pretty much, there you go. I'll read it again just for clarification. Then another horse came out, a fiery red one. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him,
and what have we been living in?
Was given a large sword.
It's been escalating since the end of World War II.
Yeah. And Satan is behind all this nonsense. No question about this. That's why I said before that all of these things are connected. Throughout history, all connected.
Well, what major U.S. operation, and I'm sure that there are plenty of wars, but I can't think of one that the U.S. has been involved in. What war isn't about religion? What war isn't about religion one way or the other, even if it's only about the religion of democracy?
Well, that's a good point, defining democracy as a religion, because, the definition...
Well, it's an ideology. It's...
Well, I think, democracy is something... It's a term that's completely misused. Because
and it's a state that's completely misunderstood.
Well, that's the thing. Like in what democracy really is democracy really isn't a very attractive system. And now what we live in and what people in this country are accustomed to is not democracy.
No, it's not. This
is a constitutional republic.
Right.
A federal republic.
Right.
This is very different. To kind of illustrate this, for democracy, for people who love to talk about democracy, the politicians, whatever, people who don't understand what it really means, a real kind of rudimentary kind of, way to illustrate this, in this room, let's say we had 9 ugly women and 1 really attractive woman. In a democracy, not only could the 9 ugly women vote that the pretty girl is ugly, they could vote to kill her. Do we get it now? This is mob rule. This has nothing to do with freedom. That's why when you fight wars in the name of democracy, it is a false premise already, because they're not.
Right. It's like fighting a war in the name of peace.
They're just George Carlin had a pretty good thing, but I won't. You know what I'm trying to say, right? I won't. This is supposed to be family friendly. So.
Yep.
But it's a perfect analogy, right? That's why I'll always state the case that this stuff's all connected. All of it. And this is going to get... I hate to break the news to everybody. There is no bright side in the future here. from what I can tell. I think this is going to get worse.
If we continue, I mean, you need to add the caveat that if we continue on our same course, I will be, and maybe it's because I'm a little newer, my path is a little shorter from the beginning than yours is. But I'm sorry. I believe in, faith is about trust. And while we trust in God and we trust in Christ and the Holy Spirit to give us the power to go through our daily lives and to live in the world, but not be tainted or contaminated by the world. I also believe that the intuition we're giving is coming. It's divinely inspired.
That is, okay. I'm going to sound like Cat for a minute. That this is absolutely Holy Spirit working, because Hooper sent me a text, right, and asked a valid question. How is Satan behind all this, and how does he make it work? And I just kind of parked it for a minute and let you finish. And what you just said actually is exactly how he makes this work. The let's say the influence that we receive, right? Mm-hmm. We say it's divinely inspired, and faith, this thing. Well, that is influence from the Holy Spirit. If you're a believer, influence also comes from the other team, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, and even if you're a believer, you have to learn how to not be deceived.
Well, that is also very interesting, because I often thought it curious. Why is it always hammered to death? Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived, my brethren. This is over and over and over again.
Because they're speaking to people who want to use a sliding scale of morality.
Well,
morality is biblically based and absolute.
Yeah. Well, and the deception must be obviously a powerful tool that's used constantly.
Well, you can talk people into anything.
Apparently so. In fact, you can talk people into all kinds of crazy things making sense.
One of the absolutely most intelligent people I know, with the Florida pond thing, actually thinks that there need to be more gates. That's the problem.
More gates.
Yeah, there should have been more barriers between people and the water that has alligators in it.
Well,
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing, but that's still not gonna. It's still not gonna stop.
It doesn't change the nature of the alligator, and it doesn't change the fact that, I mean, it's like this, right? I played golf in Florida once. It was very cool. I don't like the grass in Florida, but that's a whole other golf situation.
Golf snob.
But I'm a golf geek, sorry. And my stepfather and myself were standing there. Now we understand what an 8-foot alligator will do, or what it has the potential to do. I thought this was common sense, but apparently not, because here we look, and these guys, I mean, I'm assuming these guys were drunk. I don't know, because we're on the golf course. A lot of people drink on the golf course. It's kind of what you do. So this gator was all of 8 feet, dude. All of 8 feet. And an 8-foot gator is going to whip your ass, dude. You're going to lose that fight, right? So here, the one guy is grabbing the gator's tail, and the other guy is in front of the gator taking pictures, and they're laughing. And we're both looking at this going, I can't wait until... Now, the morbid part of me is like, dude, get out the cell phone. This is YouTube City. This guy is going to get... This gator's going to grab this dude's face and shake him like a dog.
You could have made $1 million.
You know what I mean? And we're thinking, why would you even do that? I mean, that's absolutely insane. I guess because we know what an alligator is and what alligators do. They essentially eat some more, mate, eat some more, and eat, and then they look for some more food, and they eat. And they eat some more, and they eat. I mean, this is a machine. I mean, they're not cuddly, not cute. This thing's not laughing. They literally just needed to make a decision. And that guy's face was gone. You know what I mean? But it's just funny. It's ha, ha, ha. So, again, the whole playing with fire thing, it's not a really good example of what we're talking about. But when you get to a point where you recognize, and this is obviously divinely inspired, when you can recognize things like, wait a minute, this ain't right. Hold on, this something's up here. This ain't right. Versus the unfortunate person who is influenced by the dark side, right? And they think that, well, we can pretty much do whatever we want. This is fine. Blah blah blah. So that's how he, that's how he does this. I mean, it uses people to basically do his dirty work. So all the stuff we're talking about with programming and soul splitting and demonized people and program killers walking around, they don't even know that that's what they are. This is all satanic in nature. I mean, and the more and more you look, most of the time, until you are what we consider, say, awake, you don't necessarily look at these things and recognize, like, dude, that is satanic.
Right.
You look at it and say, oh, wow, what is that? Ha ha, that's weird.
Yeah,
right. You don't like, oh, that is totally evil. Like that thing that we saw, what was that? That inauguration or whatever you want to call it for that tunnel thing over in Europe.
CERN, where they're doing the ritual dance.
Like this, I thought this was a construction project. I mean, they didn't do this when they reopened 96 after they did the construction on the freeway. I mean, because that would be weird, right? But apparently this is totally normal. I mean, it's totally crazy.
Yeah.
But, we look at it and go, wait a minute, time out. The symbolism there is ridiculous. Yeah. This reminds me of Beltane Festival.
Go to YouTube and look up the
totally
inauguration of the latest tunnel at CERN.
Totally look that up. It's crazy.
They're doing a dance that there's just no way it's not ritualistic in nature.
And why even do that? For a construction project?
Well, it's because they're closer to the demon realm that they want to be close to. I mean, it's the reason why they're there.
Yeah. So I think the point to drive home that we always drive home here is you simply cannot be ignorant of these things, especially when somebody's knocking on your door and saying, "Hey, dude, you might want to check this out. You might want to check it out." You might want to.
Unless you truly just don't care. Unless you don't care about your wife, your family, your children.
Apathy is also a very serious problem.
Oh, yeah.
And this is another one of these, things where it's influenced. And if you get so apathetic to where you're just like, whatever. I mean, I can understand that if you're, say, apathetic towards, like, say, the upcoming election that, whatever. Okay, that I'm down with that, all right? Because I think it's probably rigged anyway. But to other things, apathy is dangerous. I mean, you just sit there and go, whatever, no big deal. When I die, I'm worm food, and on goes life. But I think that's very dangerous. In fact, I remember a book that says it's pretty dangerous. The Bible, that's right. Yeah. But again, book of fairy tales, right?
Right, because none of them have ever come to pass. None of it's ever been proven.
Well, it constantly makes mistakes, right? It's never correct.
Right. It's always wrong.
It didn't predict anything like to the letter or any of this.
No.
So.
I just, I read something about there's going to be a Westboro Baptist church.
Oh, yeah, you brought those guys up.
Because they drive me, because I'll tell you, a couple years ago, these are the guys that stood between me
that's
and my
honest.
faith.
Yeah, that's honest.
Because I look at people like that, and I have friends right now who are in the same place. People I love are in exactly the same place because they hear the word Christian and they think Westboro Baptist Church.
Well, it's really unfortunate that they've actually. I guess they're allowed, right? They're allowed to call their church that, but that's not a Baptist church.
No, because it's not Baptist in nature.
It's not a Baptist church.
Any more than, they were talking about, there was one Baptist church.
It's not even Christian, what they do.
No, it's the opposite.
It's hateful and despicable.
The antithesis
of
Christianity.
It's crazy. Didn't that guy die? The first guy, the main dude that formed that. I forget his name.
I honestly don't
I
know.
think I died. But anyway, yeah, you're right.
You'd figure with a kook like that died that they would lose their steam, but they seem to be out there.
Oh no, maybe even gave him more steam, right? But I mean that place is
it's unbelievable. I mean, they first gained notoriety by picketing funerals.
Yeah, for soldiers.
Of soldiers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's how they got on my radar.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Look,
It's
like this, dude. You may not support what they're using the army for. You may be against this war, whatever, right? But in essence, no matter what led up to that, here you have someone who's in their 20s who was just killed. And here's their family and friends, right? Mourning, about to put their body to rest. And you're going to stand out there with
that kid, that God bless that child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who just had more conviction in 20 years than you've had in your entire pathetic life.
That's right.
Because they gave their life for something they believe in. And you're going to walk out there and you're going to protest and picket them?
It's pretty sick, dude.
Shame on you.
In fact, I saw picket signs that said things like "soldiers go to hell," this kind of stuff at the funeral. And then it turned into a court case, did it not? Where they basically tried to get them off, but the court ruled that they have
the right
freedom
to
of speech, right?
Yeah, freedom of speech cuts both ways.
And I'm down with that. I'm down with freedom of speech. Okay?
Oh yeah, you're
allowed
allowed to be an idiot if you want to be.
But people should be, again, not so ignorant to just go ahead and say, well, that's how Christians are, because that's ridiculous. I mean, here you go. You got maybe, I don't know how big the congregation is there. What if there 10 people? I don't know. It's pretty much insignificant, but...
oh no, it's a rather large congregation. Yeah,
I don't know.
I believe it's a pretty large church.
All right. I mean, I don't even want to give them credit for anything, but they, they make enough noise, and here they are. Everyone knows who the Westboro Baptist Church is. I mean, unbelievable. But yeah, really sick, dude. They're I don't know. They're not.
And these are the reasons why. And again, the people from Westboro Church. Okay, maybe not all the people, but I'm telling you, the leaders are absolutely working for the devil. There's no doubt in my mind.
There's no doubt.
Okay, they're working for the devil, and they are corrupting the minds of good people. And then they go out there, and what they do is by their action, they make everybody else, because we live in a stereotyping, everybody's got to be grouped into something. There's 3 groups, and you got to be in one. And then all Christians are characterized in this insane way, which is the exact opposite of Christianity. And it just disgusts me.
Yeah, it is disgusting. And, again, people take things out of the Bible, out of context, and inaccurately. And then I was just talking about this at work with my buddy there, and that just because it's something that God says doesn't mean that we go ahead and use that as a way to pass judgment on our own, right? So I don't know what their angle is on this, right? As far as okay, thou shalt not kill. So if you go kill somebody, but that's not up to the Westboro Baptist Church to decide whether this guy is going to,
That's the whole thing. I mean,
it's not up to them. They don't know.
God doesn't hate anybody. God loves,
everybody.
God hates. I mean, God even loves Satan. Okay,
it's but again, this is not convenient.
The way that we're making other religions that are based on. We're protecting the rights of other religions that are based on discrimination, that are based on oppression, that are based on violence. We're trying to protect them and make sure none of their rights. But what is Christianity but a religion of acceptance?
Right.
And I'm sorry, if you're out there saying you hate someone, if you're out there and you truly hate them and you're saying God hates fags and God hates this and God hates that, you're not Christian.
No.
I don't care if you go to a church. I don't care if you were baptized. I don't care about any of it. You are not a Christian. And as someone who is daily fighting the struggle to truly be Christian, I am offended we're in the same group.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I think.
But will I condemn you and send you and say you're going to hell? No, I will not. I will pray.
I can't.
I got to admit, sometimes I may pray you get hit by a tree.
I can't sit here and say that they'll go to hell because it's not my choice.
It's not my
I
choice.
have no idea.
I don't get to do that.
I have no idea. I don't know.
That's right. When it comes to these matters of attraction and all this stuff, this is not mine to judge. I control exactly one person in the universe.
Right.
Okay? I control me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I choose to participate in a heterosexual traditional marriage and rear children. This is my choice. Do not judge me for it, because I certainly will not judge you for your choice to do something different.
Look, it's clear what God expects of us. This is clear, right? People choose to go against that, and for whatever reason, and for me,
pride.
Well, for me, it doesn't really matter. I mean, and we're talking more about like the whole sexual orientation thing that you kind of alluded to. To me, it's not. I have kind of a theory on this, and I really think that this whole issue is a big test on society that we're failing miserably at. By the way, and to condemn these people outright is ridiculous. It's, although if you want to call it a behavior, fine. Classify it how you want. This is just out of easy speech, right? If that behavior is something that God doesn't like, we brought this up before. He also doesn't like murder. He also doesn't like theft. Right. He also doesn't like lying. He also doesn't like people who worship Satan. There's a lot of things he doesn't like. This is all grouped in the same. So we're equal, dude. We're not any, we're just not any better than those people.
I don't think I am.
We can't be.
I don't think I am, but
right.
It doesn't mean that I don't have the right to be disgusted by their actions.
Well, I'm not disgusted by it. I think it's, it's no more disgusted than I am at, say someone who made a mistake and, stole something and got arrested and charged with a crime, whatever. I mean, this is not for us to even, that's why I think that this is like a test that society as a whole is failing, because, I don't believe in pushing the agenda because it's ridiculous. I also don't see where there's a real human acceptance going on either, from a real Christian perspective, where these people are who they are. And you can go ahead and say, here's the word of God, right? And this is what he wants and everything, and it applies to us too. But you can kind of see where this is a big failure on our part, dude. We're coming up way short on this. This is just my take on it. Way short, where we can say that's wrong and it's unnatural, whatever, and it is. But again, so is a lot of other things. So I have the same problem as lesbians. I like to have sex with women. God doesn't like this. There's a certain way he wants things. We don't need to understand why. It doesn't even matter if we understand why. You choose to accept it and live that way or not. But what these people are doing is saying, oh, you're going to burn in hell. That is crazy talk.
Yeah, they have no way of knowing that.
Crazy talk. Really crazy. And that's why I don't really like, this community, that community. Because, again, it's divide and conquer thing, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what that is.
Well, there are still a few things that I hang on to intense disdain for. I won't use the word hate. But, being lumped in with people who are assholes. Yeah. I have an issue with that. And like I said, and the reason why I'm so upset by these type of people, why they elicit a passionate response from me, is because they once stood between me and my Savior. Yeah. Well, again, you can take that a step further, and you're white. So you're automatically lumped in with the white devils, right? Well, but again, it plays right into the same thing. You and I are lumped in whether we want to or not. Take religion or faith or whatever out of it. They've already accomplished this, dude. This thing has been put to bed years ago. It doesn't matter. You can't escape it now. I think that no matter what, you're always going to be lumped in with something that you had no part of. Number one, accused of something. Number two, that's something that you totally disagree with. Number three, that maybe you aren't even aware of, right?
I mean, you may not even be really aware of some things that, say, your quote-unquote ancestors did. I mean, who knows? I don't know why I did that with a Southern accent. That was ridiculous.
That was pretty good, though.
I had no idea why that just came out like that. It didn't mean anything.
For a second there, I saw you in like overalls with a hay thing going on your
That was
mouth.
pretty weird. I don't know why that even happened. But anyway, I was channeling, I guess. But, yeah, no matter what, man, you're just, I mean, our wives come from the same place. I mean, they're lumped into a group, and they're totally different. They're not even the same. So I don't know. It's very, very frustrating when, like what you said, this is frustrating for you.
Well, and as you're trying to evangelize, and you're trying to testify, and you're trying to get other people that are good people, and that if you could just, one of the things I enjoy most about the church we go to is the practical application of the word. Our church is very, very strong on many churches I've gone to in the past, especially Catholic Church.
Right.
They read the gospel, and then they're done.
Yeah.
That's it. We've read the gospel. We've done our job. Now say some Hail Marys, get some water, and
whatever. Yeah.
Have a nice day. And one of the things that I love about the church that we go to is the lengths that they go to read Scripture and then give you practical applications, because that is what it took to get through my thick skull.
Yeah,
and understanding the practical application of words that were written thousands of years ago. It ties everything together.
It does. And actually, that church, our pastor, this guy, he's fantastic, dude. Let's just say, I mean, that guy's amazing. The first time I went there, it was really a big part of, for me, really paying attention. Like, he caught my ear, dude, big time, immediately. And that was in their old place, the little tiny one-room place that, like, I was like, why are we going here? This is weird. And I even told, my wife, I said, look, they start passing around rattlesnakes, man, I'm out. I'm out of here, right? If they say, hey, drink this, don't worry, I'm out, The
Kool-Aid tastes good.
Yeah, walked in there, man, and I really was kind of already on the defense because it was, again, raised Catholic. This is a Baptist church.
Right.
I walked in there thinking, doing it just to make my wife happy because she met some nice people, whatever. And they're all, Filipinos, whatever. So they have something in common. I said, okay, if we don't like it, we won't go back. The first time and I don't even remember what he was talking about that day because it was so long ago now, but the first time I heard him speak at that, church, I was like, man, that guy's awesome. Yeah. It was nothing like I thought it was going to be.
No.
Nothing.
Because he's so quiet, so unassuming. He's a very humble, very down-to-earth, practical guy. But, man, when he starts laying it out for you...
Dude, it's amazing.
He has a way of putting it into terms you can understand. And, again, it's about it's the whole church. I mean, we have the right leader, but it's the... it's our board as well. I mean, there's a specific purpose in mind, and not to go on about our church, but
no, but I think we need to. I think because for one thing, it's I think that and you probably are the same. I mean, of the same position that things that have come out of there for me have been key.
Oh yeah,
key.
Yeah.
I would not be with there's obviously all these pieces. But, I mean, without that place and those people, I would not be where I'm at today.
That's my foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there was one shot. I had gotten so far along. You guys got me so close.
I got you to walk in there.
I am standing at the gate, and you're standing on the other side going, come on in. Brother.
Yeah.
Come on in, brother. And... there was one chance.
Yeah, you're right.
And if I would have walked down that hallway for the first time and felt anything different than what I felt, I may have never come back in that place.
No, you probably would not have. It's probably like, not for me.
Yep,
next.
Not my bag. We'll just wait 7 years and try another church.
Yeah, or not.
And the way, these people are truly, and I think the word amazing is overused.
It is, yeah.
It's used so much that nothing's really amazing anymore because everything's amazing, okay? But what I will say is that I am amazed constantly by the level of compassion in the people we are surrounded by on a weekly basis, and I thank God for it.
Yeah, no, that's great, man.
Because the the way they look at the world and the way they try to affect change in our community and in our world, it makes me want to be a better person. It has made me a better person.
Yeah, me too.
And it's contagious. And if there were enough people all trying to do this, how are you going to tell me the world's going to be a worse place?
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a rule or two that you have to follow.
Well, there's a few, right? There's a couple. It's really not that hard, actually. But no, you're right. But I think that this world being as temporary as it is, what you end up doing by this has an effect on you, has an effect on me. I mean, I got my Roman Catholic wife to get baptized. This is huge, dude. It's a big deal. It leads to the actual world, not this temporary one.
Right.
It leads to that. And there is, we go on and on about all this bad stuff all the time, but it's really because I think it's effective in making people pay attention.
Well, the thing is we made a decision. We made a conscious effort when we decided to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And the whole idea was that we wandered in the wilderness for so long by ourselves, alone and miserable.
Yeah.
We had things in our lives that made us happy, and we had plenty of good things happening in our lives, but we didn't truly appreciate it because we were at odds with eternity.
That's well said.
And so as we aged and as we had children, it became more and more important for us, and things happened in our lives that put us not only on the path, but put us together for a reason. And there are a lot of people out there that are living in pain.
Yeah.
And I personally, I know how I felt a couple of years ago. I want to reach 100 me. I want to reach 1,000 me.
Well, that's the really.
And
the
I
point.
want to help. I want to do everything I can to ease people's suffering.
Right. And I think the point that what we do here is maybe shed some light. At least we pray this is what we're doing on where this suffering comes from. Where is all of this coming from? And I think a big and I've heard this said before, is don't be talking about that Satan guy because you're glorifying him. This is a dirty, rotten lie.
Right.
This is him saying that because we are by no means, by shedding light on this stuff, we're actually following instructions, aren't we?
Right.
We are supposed to expose this stuff so that other people may say, oh, yeah.
Because you never know what topic we are going to be on that gets through to somebody. We've mentioned this a couple times, but we've had several people. We've had many comments on Facebook, and I remember one in particular where Dave linked together a specific conspiracy that we were dealing with, and he very nicely, in the way that only he can do, linked it directly, irrefutably, and indisputably to the Book of Revelation. And there was this one guy that after the show, Dave's texted me, go check out the comments on Facebook. And this one dude was just like, oh my God, I'm a believer. I understand the Book of Revelation. And I like to check out conspiracy theories. I'm awake to the conspiracies of the world. But I never would have linked X to the Book of Revelation. But the way you did it, the way you explained it, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So now,
thank you for the work you're doing.
Who knows what now, right? I mean, now, who knows what the effect this will have? I mean, and that's the whole point to what it is that we're, at least what we think we're doing here. I don't know. I mean, I think it's.
Well, I mean, it takes, as we discussed in the beginning. Well, alone we have a piece of the puzzle. The more people we bring together, the more fully the puzzle comes into view. The more we can see of the big picture.
Yeah.
So we've brought Kat on board. We've got John from Happy Hour. Jeff is within our grasp.
Yeah.
He is there.
These guys are awesome, man.
Kat has got him in her scopes. The Christian sniper is ready. We just have. I mean, it's going to be so easy to pull Jeff over the finish line.
Yeah. Well, I have faith he'll get there.
Absolutely.
It's
and look at the wonderful people we're meeting because of this show, and we get an opportunity to discuss the things that we know about that you can give a practical application. I mean, this is what brought us in. So I'm out there looking for bikers and ex-metal guys and dudes with tattoos and
wow,
these are the guys I want to talk to. The guy that the stereotypical Christian that we know is not. But in every non-Christian's Christianic. If that's
good
a word. You like that word? Stereotype. These are the people I want to reach.
Yeah.
Because we're all one race, man. It's the human race. And there's good in all of us. You just have to choose to accentuate the good or accentuate the bad. You have to choose to feed the spirit or feed the flesh.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Who was he targeting? Who was Jesus targeting when he came here? If you want to call it targeting, that's probably the right word.
That's what I say. When people were like, that's why it would always frustrate me when I would go to church when I had hair down to my ass.
Yeah.
I would, and everybody's looking at me because I got long hair and and I got a big earring in or whatever. Ooh, what's that hooligan doing in church? It's like, who were the disciples? They were the.
Who was he hanging out with, man? I mean,
Tax
you look at
collectors?
he certainly was not hanging out with the elite. He wasn't he was rebuking them, right?
Oh yeah.
And so he would have, if he would have walked in there that day, he would have sat down next to you.
Yeah. And the thing is too, it's like the people who did follow him, the true followers who were long in the path. Well, he didn't need to sit down with them because they were already on the right path.
That's right. Yeah.
So what was he going to do? He's going to go sit down with a scumbag.
Go sit down with a hooker,
Absolutely.
and with the thief, and with
and he's gonna stop people who think they're righteous from judging her.
Exactly right, and that's an interesting, you think about that. I mean, you really got to get these are the kind of lessons that when I first started kind of hearing about this stuff and really studying it, it's really quite mind-blowing and profound when you finally get your head wrapped around this to what the dynamic really was all about. At first you think it's like, whatever, it doesn't really make, but think about that. That's pretty amazing stuff, man. That is pretty incredible stuff. I mean, if you would think, maybe he'd be hanging out with, the Caesar types and whatever.
The kings.
That would
kings
be
of the world. He'd be influencing from the top down.
Would that not be the most effective way, right, to spread the word, right?
But by going from the capstone to the foundation, that's the way Satan works.
That's exactly
right. That's the way
right.
the devil works. Because Christ is all about being the cornerstone.
That's right.
He wants to be what everything else is built upon.
Yeah, it can't be argued with.
And there's only so many kings. Okay, but there's an exponential number of subjects.
Hey, and
so if you want to save the most people, are you going to try to save the kings, or are you going to try to save the peasants?
Or are you going to rely on the kings to help the people get saved? Right? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Because it's counterproductive.
But there is no shortage of sinners now, is there?
No,
we just keep making more, don't we?
There's been what? One sinless one in history?
That's that's it. Yeah,
just pretty much.
Yeah. I think, just one. Yep,
yeah.
That's right.
Where did you learn about that in school?
In
Canton Public Schools?
No, actually, I did not. Not learn that in school.
Was it American history?
Or? No. Social? No. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that would be no.
Not allowed. That's getting even weirder now too.
We're going to do a whole thing on that.
Yeah,
I got some compelling stuff on the founding fathers and people. One of the other things that drives me crazy. We're going to get into your pet peeve next week, which is which is evolution versus creation.
Yeah, evolution, as Dawkins calls it.
I'm very interested in that. I want to hear what you bring to the table because I've never brought much more than a gut feeling.
Yeah,
I'm going to be completely honest, but as we were having a conversation, last week on the break, and you guys were talking about, how long did you buy Evolution? And the thing is, I didn't buy Evolution the second.
Yeah, you say that you didn't.
No,
and
I never bought it.
That's actually pretty amazing because
it was not because I was a believer. It was not because I was a Christian. I did not buy evolution because at its core, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's actually pretty incredible because I never really questioned
this. I hand to God.
Yeah, never questioned it.
I have never bought evolution ever.
Because it kind of was like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
so I'm interested to hear, and I'm really interested to hear our guest because he's a very well-educated and intelligent man, and I'm really interested to hear his thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about. It isn't about being right or wrong. It's about I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the discourse. So I mean, yeah. As
I look forward to maybe learning something.
Yeah,
I don't already know. That's great.
There's always an opportunity to learn something.
Sure.
From the strangest of places. But my one of my pet peeves that I want to work towards is actually the United States, because and not from a conspiratorial who killed JFK kind of thing, but from what were the founding fathers' original intentions? Because everybody talks about the separation of church and state, and they have it wrong. Okay, they just do. They mean that, well, we don't want religion to influence our politics. And that's what the separation of church and state means to most people, and that's what you hear get regurgitated all the time. And the reality is that in the time of our founding fathers, in the time that this nation was young, education came from the Bible.
Yeah, they used it to learn how to read.
They learned it to use how to read. Yeah. So you were indoctrinated with the Word of God from the time you were born. So therefore, I mean, when you ask me, do you think our founding fathers were more moral than we are? Without a doubt. I mean, they were immersed in the Bible from birth. These guys there are public documents where they're quoting the Bible so often that they don't even bother to qualify it as a quote from the Bible because they just know.
They just know that's
what they just know it is.
Yeah. But the separation of church and state is kind of a two-sided coin, right? It is so we don't have like a nation led by oracles,
right?
Like ancient Egypt,
right?
Which is demonic and satanic. But then you have the flip side of it. It also protects the church from the government, right?
I mean, which is the main point of it.
And that could be the main, that could be the main purpose.
But yet the government has found a way to destroy the church anyway.
Of course. I mean, that's again, you follow the timeline, and this will happen. What's next is, they're working on the way to destroy Christians. I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, but we're reminded that...
Well, they learned valuable lessons from Hitler.
Well, we're reminded that, remember, that even though the world hates you, it hated me first. And that's a quote from JC himself. And once you can kind of understand that concept, then you realize that, okay, go ahead, world. Hate me for what I am.
Yeah, it's good.
Go ahead. It's fine. I'm actually blessed by this. Yeah. That's also straight out of the Bible as well. That if, you're chastised or persecuted for
blessed.
Then,
blessed is he.
Blessed is he, exactly. And that's, these are important things for people to remember because I do think, too, that, like when you bring up things about the USA and the founding fathers and church separation of church and state, and you're coming from a Christian perspective, I think what stops a lot of people from going there and from professing their faith like you do and I do is that they're afraid of the persecution. They're afraid that I don't really want to go there here. I've even heard people say, "Man, don't get all deep talking about Jesus." Well, no, I will actually. In fact, now I'm going to get deeper.
Yeah,
because you said that. But I think that holds a lot of people back because they don't want to deal with. They'd rather hide in the mass of neutrality.
We are vain creatures. We are prideful. We are boastful
and fearful.
And we are fearful. And what is more scary, if you're willing to admit that God is real, if you're willing to admit that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, that he died to forgive your sins.
Yeah, people are embarrassed if they say that.
If you admit that, you are admitting you are not in control. You are admitting that there are forces in this universe that are greater than you.
That's right.
And you're not taking some cop out and going, oh, well, there are forces greater in the universe than me, but it's not God.
Right. Right.
Okay,
yeah,
it's
something,
the earth and the air and the fire.
Right. It's the aliens and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
because again, there is a very strict set of guidelines, and they are unimpeachable. It is what it is.
Yeah,
it's true. Not a sliding scale. It's not like, well, I really feel like killing, so maybe thou shalt not kill. Maybe, thou shalt not kill most of the time.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and I don't remember which verse it is, but it's a good point to make, is that when you'll know, how does it go? I'm probably going to misquote it, and I apologize, but I got the right intention at hand here. Is that you'll know that you're mature in your faith when your own heart convicts you.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yep.
So when you know, now it doesn't mean that as soon as you say yes, I accept all these things that you just outlined about Jesus, I accept this, that now I will no longer do anything wrong.
No, it's about knowing the difference.
It's now, because I even notice I know a big difference in myself, but it's conscious.
Oh
it's
my God,
a conscious thing.
When I fall into my old ways,
it's like I know, but see, it's your own heart is convicting you, and then you like, okay, you're like, God, man, I shouldn't. Man, that was really bad. That was really... Where before, I just did whatever I wanted, dude. I did what... I didn't care. I said what I wanted, and if you didn't like it
I
damn bad...
As long as I didn't really hurt anybody, I didn't always watch out for the consequences of my actions, but I tried to be careful of the consequences.
Yeah, sometimes I liked it when I hurt people. I mean, I just...
No, me personally, I tried not to hurt anybody, but I believe, it is what it is. I'm going to do what I want, and if I'm going to covet, and I'm going to sin, and I'm going to do these things, and it never really hurt anybody. But then... again, you get to a point where you're really trying to live life the right way.
Right. Yeah, in your own heart.
And like I said, the guilt I feel, now I understand it.
Right.
Because the guilt I feel when I catch myself slipping into old ways, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. And actually, what's unbelievable about it is that it's genuine.
Oh, you're not kidding.
You're not just acting. You're not just like, okay, I know I can't do this, so it's not robotic in nature. You really feel that stuff, man. You really feel like, you feel like you let somebody down, and guess what? You did.
Yeah.
You did.
I got a quick question for you. It's like, why did the world hate Jesus? Why do you think it was? Why did the world hate Jesus so?
Why did the world hate Jesus?
Yeah, why did they hate him
because
so?
he is not of the world, so that's why... and
who took him out? Who took him out? The people or the establishment?
What now?
Who took Jesus out?
What do you mean? Who took him out?
Who killed Jesus? Was it the establishment or was it the people? So he wasn't of the world, but he was. Where I'm going with this is, you're right. He was not of this world. That's why they hated him. They hated him because the world had been one way for thousands of years. And Jesus came in and turned it upside down. And he gave power to the people. He took power away from the leaders and gave power to the people.
Yeah.
Because Christianity is a religion of the people.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, because he did rebuke those leaders, did he not?
Oh, yes, he did.
I mean, keep in mind in those times, like the Roman Pontius Pilate, I remember what his actual thing was, but they were an extension of Caesar, right? So when you were talking to that guy, it was like talking to...
He had some legislative name. He was like the governor or something of...
But either way, right? It was an extension of Rome, right? So when you...
Pontius Pilate was as high up as you got without being
in that
Rome.
Area.
In that area.
Exactly.
Yes.
So basically, when he basically told him, like, well, the only power you have over me is the power my father gave you. He's like rebuking Caesar, dude. I mean, he's like literally like, in your face, dude. You're nothing. That is like, wow. I mean, that's just, and the guy's looking at him going, who is this guy? He's got to be crazy. This guy's got to be crazy. But you're right. Who took him out?
And how many times did Pilate try to talk the Pharisees and the Sadducees?
The pagan leader even tried to talk sense to those
He's like,
people.
It doesn't make sense. This guy's harmless.
That's right.
Why? There's no reason.
Yeah. Yep.
There was no reason to, kill this guy.
But if you look at the whole, kind of how the story played out, Again, right, because he's always right. God was right about it. That absolutely had to happen for people to... If he would have lived his life out to be 100 years old and preached the whole time...
He said on the cross. I mean, the guy's been tortured for days. He's hanging on a cross near death.
That's right.
And why? Because he had to fulfill prophecy.
Right.
Because
what he said had to actually manifest for the people that lived at the time.
Right.
So after that, when they saw things get destroyed and things happen that he said would happen, then it's locked in, man. That's it. It's locked in. So, yeah, that's... Definitely. I mean, that's why it says, the world will hate you because you are not of this world any longer, right? You're now of
because he was
my
the
kingdom.
One perfect being.
Well, of course, Satan wanted a piece of him so bad.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
40 days.
Wanted a piece of him so bad because that would have accomplished his agenda here as weekly based as it was, still, he couldn't. I mean, guaranteed, man. They were all there that day, dude. Could not wait to get a piece of ham up there. Oh, they were frothing at the mouth that day, dude. But that kind of backfired too, didn't it?
It didn't quite work out the way they wanted
it kind of backfired too, didn't it? Yeah, it's crazy.
Good thing for the rest of us.
Crazy, yeah.
Or at least the 2.2 million of us.
Is that the number?
The 9% of us.
Is that the number now? I wonder how they quantify that.
It has to... I don't know.
it was kind of rhetorical. I have no idea.
It's a survey.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I've heard that same number from a couple different sources that I find reliable.
Yeah, that could be true. I just wonder how they actually quantify that.
We'll have to ask Aaron.
I mean, once you get to like 100,000, it's kind of hard to count. I mean, it's a big number. So,
there's probably an algorithm somewhere that predicted it.
I'm sure there is. There's algorithms in Chicago to predict who's going to shoot somebody.
That's right.
And that's not dangerous.
Nope. Didn't Tom Cruise make a movie about that?
Yes, it was. Minority Report.
Oh,
yeah, soft disclosure, as I like to call it. So we got a little bit of time left here. We have kind of some lineup now, right? So we got next week. We're talking about
creation versus evolution,
and then we want to talk about.
Then that may take a show or two.
That's a long one.
Yeah, we're not going to try and get anything of this thing in under.
Well, we got the founding. You want to touch on?
Yeah, I want to touch on the founding, and then at some point, we need to talk about Christianity versus Islam. I mean, we need to talk about this. We need to, and it's not from and I don't. I'm not going at this as I don't think Islam's bad. I know Muslims that are good people.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that. It's just.
But again, we are making the effort to get to the root of Christianity. I wonder if they get the exact same result when you get to the root of Islam.
I don't know.
And I think it'll be an interesting ride.
It would be.
Because I'd like to understand it. I mean, they're going to be our neighbors. I mean, the two religions that affect me. Yeah. I mean, I realize there's probably more Buddhists and stuff like that, but the religions that have a direct impact on my life are Christianity and Islam.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be definitely a learning experience because, I don't know a whole lot about it.
No, I don't know as much as I'd like to. I know that they both rely heavily on the Old Testament in the beginning, but then there's some interpretation.
I don't even know.
I know Christ is president. President. I know Christ is present in the Quran.
I do understand a little bit about that. But again, this would go into a big long. They do, but they're.
And Muhammad it's documented to have been a living man as Christ once walked the earth.
They don't know. They know very little about Muhammad. Very little. Is his life before that. And when anyone who's tried to investigate this has had nothing but death threats. So it does beg some curiosity on my part.
I find it interesting. I mean, if you want to deal with what we're dealing with in the world right now.
Yeah, unless that all is counterfeit and has actually nothing to do with Islam, and this is just another ruse by the devil himself, which would be clever.
Absolutely.
And he's awfully clever, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
The king of lies. But it would be a good ride. This is kind of, I don't know, it's on topic, but... This is going a little lighter,
yeah,
but I would
veered off. But again,
I would like to touch on because we're kind of doing the creation evolution thing. We did a show before about like the time of the flood.
Yeah, I'd like to get closer with that.
I would really like to dig into the story of Noah.
Yeah,
and because I love that story.
Yeah, because that would pick up where you left off. And then we've still got my
I really
media.
love
We've
that
still got
story.
my media control to the CFR. So
That too. We got all kinds of. So now we
we're
just
gonna be
made
here for a while.
We just made commitments for a lot.
We're going to be here for a while. So I hope Cave has the contract.
Yeah, and if Hooper's listening, we got some topics to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get together in the next session. Okay, well, hey, just remember, as always, I should have said this at the beginning, but do your own research. We'd hate for you to take one of our mistakes forward. So feel free to do your own research and realize that there are no more secrets, only ignorance. This has been Down the Rabbit Hole. To God the glory.